Well, let me talk about a book really quick on the top of my pile, and that is Moon Man #1. This is from Image Comics, written by Kyle Higgins and Scott Mescudi, aka Kid Cudi.
Oh,
Art by Marco Locati, which is their debut issue, or debut series, I should say. Colors by Igor, Monti, and letters by our good pal Hassan, Otsmane-Elhaou. I want to shout out to Image for getting us an advance copy of this book, so I'm going to give a quick spoiler-free review here, because I did read this already, which is why 20th Century Men is going to be the next thing I read probably later today. But the story of Moon Man #1 is basically about a guy named Ramon, who's an astronaut who was on a planned trip to the moon that goes wrong for some reason. And it turns out as they were coming back to Earth, or really we don't know the details, he and his crew on their ship blipped out of existence for 7 minutes. Cameras were on them, they disappeared, and then suddenly they came back. They were in quarantine for like 6 weeks, basically to be monitored because no one knows what happened. And then they eventually get released because there doesn't seem to be anything wrong. But now that he's back, he really wants just like a quiet life. He's going to try to go to the moon again if this big corporation that was going to send him there in the first place, called Janus, is going to do it again. But for now, he just wants to live a quiet life. After excuse me. But after he gets back to kind of settling down, some strange things begin to happen to him. There is I want to say a cosmic something that happens to him as he's trying to just live this life. And it seems to be in very specific moments. And I'm being vague here intentionally because what that means is totally up for you to see when you read this issue. But I really, really liked the way that this book took this grounded type character in a very, very true, real kind of world and added a lot of like interesting, quote, cosmic ideas to some of the things. It's, as I said, it's really grounded. It's kind of sci-fi. It feels like it takes place in a modern time, but it's about like real people in a real world where money forces good people to make hard choices, and where supernatural change may be both a hope and a burden at the same time. That's kind of like the quick summation of things. And I liked the way that is all presented through this character, Ramon, as he is an astronaut. And that means that there are some luxurious things to come with that. But that luxury truly comes at a price of like sacrificing your ethics, sacrificing your morals potentially. And not to say Ramon is a bad guy, but, you know, when you get paid a lot of money, you kind of have to not be as vocal about some things as you wish that you were, right? So I really liked all of that. I thought the twist that they have in this book, this weird, quote, cosmic thing, is very interesting. And the thing that really stunned me about this book was the art. Marco Locati and Igor Monti put together some really, really gorgeous pages in this book. I do worry that their overall like style may not vibe with some people, but I think that if you can deal with what I think is maybe some like rougher pages, you will be rewarded with some gorgeous 2-page spreads, some very interesting play with color, especially around some of the stranger moments of this book. And I think it's totally worth it to read in general, because I think the style of this book feels a little rough and kind of jagged, but it's all for a purpose. Like, all of the color work is done in such a way that feels super subtle. And then when I was going back through the pages again, I went, oh my God, this whole thing, it was here the entire time. And it's all done through like really smart color work. So like really, really like this book. I think if you get a chance, go check this out. Kid Cudi's writing it, and I think that's kind of cool. And I think there's going to be accompanying music to this book. I have to look back at the pages again, but I really liked the end of this particular issue because Scott Mescudi, aka Kid Cudi, had this very nice, just like small paragraph thing that he wrote about how when he started reading comic books, it like changed his life, and he created this character as a hero for everyone. Like, this is a hero who is supposed to be a person that you can really relate to, and I totally got that from the get-go in this book. And then by the end of the issue, I was blown away. So highly recommend Moon Man #1 if you get a chance. It's a pretty solid comic book.